It's the only vibe, Houston's culture, evolution of the choice, KTSU 90.9 FM, your community station. Michelle McKnight here on another phenomenal Women Crushing It Wednesday, which means that I have a phenomenal woman who is joining me on the show. And ironically, this entire summer, we have been on a Save a Life health tour across Houston. We've been on a 20-week mission. It'll be a total of 20 weeks when we come to the end of September. It's in collaboration with CNS as well as NAACP. And so what we are actually doing is setting up shop different church locations around Harris County and Houston to provide free testing, health screenings for certain things such as diabetes, so on and so forth, to people that can definitely utilize those resources and not have to pay out of pocket. So it's so great.
It's amazing
to be able to have Daminique join me on the show here today, because you have got a dope line of seasonings, but they're not just any seasonings.
Right.
They're low sodium seasonings,
Yes, ma'am.
which a lot of times people don't think that something in such a small container can, I guess, contain so much potency,
Right.
To even put you at risk for high blood pressure, so on and so forth. So welcome to the show, Daminique. Happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
And Daminique is the founder of Spiced Up by Daminique.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wonder where that name came from.
I was struggling. I'm not lying to you. The purpose of it, of course, was seasonings, but I still wanted to encounter like my name in it, because sometimes when you're creating a business, the hard part sometimes is coming up with the name in itself. But the purpose was definitely the seasoning and the focus of my name in itself.
Okay. So is your background in culinary arts?
My background's more healthcare, but my focus is definitely public health, and I love cooking. So that kind of put it together. My focus, for the sake of the brand of the business, is lowering hypertension. And for the sake of African-American households, we cook a lot. So sometimes when we're cooking, we're not thinking about health, or we're not thinking about diabetes until after the fact. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I wanted to implement in the business, as well as service. And I always tell people I'm a servant of God first. So I want to make sure everything I do is implemented in service and health. So for the sake of helping the community.
Okay. And so it's a lot of competition that you have out there.
Right.
When it comes to seasonings. I mean, it's overwhelming going in a
Right.
seasonings aisle when you go somewhere. So a lot of people just kind of stick to what they know, because it can be overwhelming in that sense. So what is it that made you want to set the tone for your business for this line of seasonings, but go in the direction of offering something that had a lower sodium content in it? It wasn't just about the flavor to you,
Right.
but it really was about the overall health benefits.
The health benefit, yes, ma'am, for sure. It was more thinking of, for the sake of lowering, all my products are under 5% in sodium intake. And it's a focus of, you can still have a great meal that tastes flavorful, but still focus on your health and your lifestyle. And that's just pushing that vendetta of having appropriate amount of salt intake, and then more predominantly flavor, and just knowing when to slow down, when to add enough. So that's pretty much the focus of the brand in itself, is just for hypertension, lowering hypertension, and just putting out there for the sake of just enjoy a good meal, but make sure you pay attention to what you're having, what you're doing, and just being more educated, and for the sake of public health and eating.
Mm-hmm. So did you do a lot of cooking growing up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was in that kitchen. I was in that kitchen.
I mean, I would hope so, because obviously it has to be
kitchen.
some sort of knowledge going into that when it comes to you actually constructing something to taste good, but also something to be a healthy option at the same time. So what does that process actually look like when you are trying to create something? Because I know you've got different flavors, which we'll get into what that looks like. But what does that process look like?
It's an everyday. It's an everyday meal. The brand itself, it focuses on, the basic household, the parent that has the kid, or the single person that's on the go that does to do, meal prepping. So just cooking your regular meal and not really have to worry about, okay, is this too much in this bottle? You're just going. So when I'm cooking, I cook like it's normal meal. If I wanted to make, staple food, we'll say greens, I know I'm not going to do so much. So once I'm seasoning it and I'm going, we're in a good state. But for the sake of the food, the flavor's still going to be good. I'm not thinking about, should I, who's around me, who's coming, who needs to eat a certain amount. No, I know everything's going to be equal. I don't have to worry about anyone's health, allergy, or anything like that for the sake of the products. So it's just cooking a general meal basically could be, I want a chicken salad randomly. I'll go and grab my all-purpose seasoning and use it because 9 times 10 there's good vegetables in there, there's protein inside, there's mayonnaise, mustard, etc. But just the focus of having one good bottle of something instead of having to grab multiple Italian herbs, garlic, just all in one, and you go. And your focus of the percentage being under 5%. And you can go to your doctor's visit and you have to worry about, oh, my blood pressure's high. No, it's not.
Do you use a lot of natural herbs? Is that kind of what goes into the process of creating those seasonings? Grinding,
fruit extracts, natural herbs on all products, gluten-free.
So how long did it take you to develop your first seasoning that set the tone for Spiced Up by Daminique?
I started in 2019. It didn't take me too long. I kind of just knew what I wanted. I would actually test out different products. So sometimes when you go to the grocery store, you see all types of stuff. So you know what you've used prior. And I always had just a taste bud of what I wanted. So I tried to just focus on. So when I went to my manufacturer, I'm like, okay, let's just try. So we would just mix some things and go from there. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is what I know I've had before, but let's lower this and just switch out the product. But everything's all great herbs, fruit extracts, sorry. But for the sake of each product, so I have a citrus seafood seasoning, and that focuses lemon, oranges, and limes. And I want it, for being the seafood seasoning, you're thinking of, Cajun or, something real spicy. I said, no, you want something like a flavor. You want to make a transition of what you're used to, like that little spark. I still kind of want a tang to it. So when I'm thinking about making products, I'm like, okay, well, how do I feel? Would I want to try something else that I can't? To the point that I'm trying to eliminate multiple products in my meals. So that's pretty much the focus.
Okay. All right. So there is not just one seasoning. No. You've got a whole line. Spiced Up by Daminique. So let's get into these flavors.
Okay.
What can we expect? What can you find on the shelves?
So you can find my all-purpose seasoning. It's very versatile. You can use it on meat, snacks, dessert, a cocktail if you like. I have a sweet dust that's based off my grandmother. She liked to bake. Nana sweet dust seasoning is cinnamon sugar, so great for coffee, bread, any type of desserts, fruit. You can put on a pineapple and grill it if you wanted to. I have a Cajun seasoning, which is kind of one of my favorites because I love that kick in my meals a lot. I have a brown sugar baby barbecue rub. If you're big on the barbecue, but I like to mix it with my vegetables. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like a nice little sauteed vegetable, throw my brown sugar baby barbecue rub in there, and then that's it.
And the best thing about it is that they're all low sodium.
Under 5%, every one of them.
So no
gluten-free.
Hypertension.
None of that.
No high blood pressure. Well, and the high blood pressure that actually pivots you into hypertension, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm still trying to get up on my medical terminology and understanding all of that. But I do think that is just a really important thing for people to remember because for a lot of people, especially growing up in African American households, we like a bountiful table.
Of everything.
We, growing up, at least in my household, my experience with my parents is, you need to finish what's on your plate. That was always what it was. It didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was healthy, greasy, fried. Exactly. You're going to finish whatever's on your plate.
Exactly.
You need to thank the Lord that you even got some food on your plate to begin with. But, a lot of times, though, even with that and passing that down culturally, generation to generation, when it comes to our salt intake, what it is that we're putting in the food is just more so about how can I make this taste good, not we need to be making sure that we're actually trying to have a balance so it will not affect us in our later years. So that is the beautiful thing here about Spiced Up with Daminique here. And so you do have your product on shelves, correct?
I have it in Walmart online as well as Amazon online. Right now, my goal is hopefully get into a store one day. But so far, we do have it on spicedupbydaminique.com and just Amazon and Walmart.
Okay. And spell that for everybody. Because we were going back and forth about Daminique's name before we went live. So, can you spell the website so everybody knows how to go search?
Absolutely. www.spicedup, SPICEDUPBYDAMINIQUE.com.
spicedupbydaminique.com. And of course, we'll share that to our socials as well. And I know you also have an interest in making a transition, or not necessarily really a transition, but aligning your work with doing some philanthropy as well. So what does that look like for you?
That is actually my dream, to get into philanthropy. And I would like to have my own nonprofit one day. So I definitely want to interact and meet those who do so I can kind of just learn how to get that process started. For, like I was saying, I'm a servant of God first, and I want to make sure I can implement that in the businesses or any type of venture that I do. So I have currently I'm raising funds for No Kid Hungry. I've raised funds for Houston Food Bank, and I've given product for Houston Food Bank as well. I volunteer for Urban Harvest for Spring Branch ISD. We work in a garden, and we pull vegetables. We teach children how to plant and just make your own food at home if you're not able to, because of course we're not taught about gardening and agriculture and things like that. So that's what I want to focus on. So my background's healthcare, and I love healthcare. I couldn't always just get deep into it. So working and whatnot, but I wanted to make sure my business, how can I transition this? How can this move to a different area? So that's why I want to get involved in more nonprofits to speak of public health, about, of course, hypertension and then diabetes, et cetera. So that's the transition I would love to make and interact with for the sake of my business.
Well, so much, good energy, positivity going out to you, and the hard work that it is that you're doing to not just do well for yourself, but to do good for others. The exact woman that we love to be able to highlight on Women Crushing It Wednesday. Thank you, Daminique, for making time out of your schedule. Again, everybody make sure to go and visit spicedupbydaminique.com. And is it Spiced Up by Daminique on all of your social platforms as well?
All of them, yes.
Okay, and if you were confused or you missed the spelling, of course, again, we'll share that to our social media at The Vibe Houston, but appreciate you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, friends, Women Crushing It Wednesday, we're always accepting nominations. You can always feel free to reach out to us, vibehouston.com. Any of our social pages at The Vibe Houston. You can reach out to me, respectfully, DM, at Michelle on Air, Michele on Air, or at djmichellemcknight.com.